It is Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very exciting get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. We were doing a little bit of single leg takedown, a little bit of double leg takedown, and spider guard. Spider guard. Can you believe that? Spider guard. I hardly ever do spider guard. I'm definitely going to do more spider guard now. It's a very interesting control position, and if you know how to, work your legs against the arms, I imagine it would be terribly effective. I mean, because you can easily transition into more than one other guard. You can get into like De La Hiva, X guard, so on and so forth from there. And so yeah, I really liked it. And we were doing like a sweep. It was almost like a reapy kind of sweep, but not fully all the way across. We didn't go reapy. It's something that I guess only the upper belts can do. I can understand it, honestly, but I'm betwixt on this. Because you're going to face it. Regardless of where you start at, eventually you are going to face somebody going after one of your legs and or somebody trying to reap you. It's just going to happen. And so the question is, when exactly should you start preparing for it? Personally, I think it's kind of like firearm safety. No matter what, if you get it wrong, you're going to put a hole in something. And so it's like with regard to the reaping and the leg business, heel hooks and all that stuff. Like I said, it's something that if you get it wrong, you're gonna get fucked up. And so trying to prepare for it, trying to defend against it, I think it's absolutely a requirement. It's 50% of the body is. I think it's John Danaher likes to indicate. But yeah, it's a significant portion of your attack surfaces. And you should be training, I think, to address it. However, where I have issue is that I see that a lot of the guys that train their leg game, that's like 60-70% of their attacks is legs. And whether it's just they're that available or what, I don't know. But I think that the leg game is necessary, but I think if it over dominates your game, that there's certain things that it could be causing you not to concentrate on that are higher percentage incident. It's like you might hit that heel hook pretty much every time, but there's going to be somebody that is going to figure out to step down on the heel and just scrunch on you, and maybe get like towards an armbar kind of situation or something like that. But the point being that I think that the focus, on the leg game, it's a little bit overplayed. I don't know. We'll find out. I think they're effective mostly because people aren't training for them. They don't put enough significance on them in their game. However, if that were to ever really change, where people are putting in like 30-40% of their training time to either defending legs or doing leg offense or both, I think that we're going to see a significant drop in the effectiveness of the leg game, and people are going to have to start going back to the old traditionalists, man, trying to get that choke, trying to get the arm bar, something to that effect. But anyways, as far as training, it was good. I got to roll with the gentleman very much. I mean, like, honestly, I think he's carpetbagging his purple belt. I think he deserves like a brown belt, maybe even a black belt. He's very well versed in both grappling and wrestling, and a little bit of judo too. And so, and his dedication to his performance, I think, is very, very admirable. And so it's always a pleasure and an honor to get to roll with him. I mean, he's one of the guys in our gym that brings home the medals. And I know for at least part of it's because he trains at other schools too, or has trained at other schools, or does regularly train at other schools. But He trains at ours like regularly, puts in a lot of time at the gym, or dojo rather. It's indicative in his game, and it's one of those things where it's like he is so good that like when I'm rolling with him, I get that black belt feeling, like just at any moment the trigger could flick, and next thing you know, you're in this weird choke that you didn't even see coming or have any understanding of or anticipation of. He's just letting go the setups for the arm bars and the setups for the triangles and all that other shit because he's experimenting with some move that, oh, you know what? I wanted to work this one move last week. I got an opportunity right now. Okay. Yeah, that's like the kind of feel that I get from him. It's like, he'll think of something that, he wants to get you in, and he'll disregard pretty much everything else until he gets you into it. And it's not coercive. He tricks you into it. And before you know it, he's got your arm, or he's choking you out, or some shit like that. And so it's like, if I get any kind of advantage, or if I surprise him in any way, shape, or form, I just get this little, little kid in me, kind of giggles. But the fact of the matter is I know that I'm rolling with a far superior opponent. But yeah, so like I said, it's a rarity and a pleasure and an honor when I do get to roll with them. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into some music. And traditionally, we start off with some body count, so I think that's exactly where we should go. A little bit of Bloodlust for you. First Dance here on Coin Metal. And that was Tool with Vicarious. I really like that album. I don't play it very much, but it's only because the songs are really, really long. I mean, like Vicarious, that was like 7 minutes. Anyway, the songs are really long, and I don't know, I have a difficulty kind of stuffing them into the subject matter that I want to play, Anyway, as far as what we're going to get into today, I came across this bad boy on my Twitter feed here, and I don't know, it looked kind of interesting, and we cover enough regulation and stuff, and we'll probably actually talk about regulation efforts or something related to regulation at some point or another this evening. But for the moment, I want to start off with this one. It's on btcmanager.com. British startup to offer tokenized real estate investments to retail clients. Interesting. Enhancing real estate with blockchain. Blockchain and distributed ledger technologies are continuously making steps in the traditional finance securities. This time, the British startup Smartlands is developing an ambitious project of tokenization of real estate. Smartlands, or Smarlands, there's not even a T in there. There's a misspelling. Who wrote this damn thing? This is by Eduardo Vecchio. Bad Eduardo. Oh, and he's from the future. So, this is authored July 4th, 2019. So, yeah, apparently he's from the future. But he can't spell Smartlands properly. Anyway, Smartlands provide a platform designed to connect asset managers and property owners and investors through the provisions of blockchain-based asset-backed securities. The company counts on a diverse team with experience in banking, compliance, fintech venture capital, and of course, blockchain technology. With headquarters in London, Kiev, and Vilnius, Smartlands aims to build a 2.0 crowdfunding platform that allows users to purchase pieces of real estate thanks to tokenization. The ultimate goal, according to CEO Arnold Nauzita, my apologies there, is to enhance the liquidity of the real estate market thanks to the blockchain technology that allows the fractionalization of properties. I don't see that working out very well. Real estate is traditionally an illiquid market. Tokenization, however, will facilitate liquidity through the exchange of tokens that are directly representative of a slice of tangible property. Smartland's first project consists of the tokenization of a $12 million student accommodation building in Nottingham. These kinds of investments are usually a privilege of institutions or pension funds, but tokenization opens the market to a new demographic. Retail investors can purchase a token from as little as 500 lira, or 500 pounds, that's roughly $600. The token itself represents their beneficial interest in the underlying property and in any capital appreciation or earnings, such as rent gained through it. Oh, new phase of rent sucker. A second upside can be seen in the case of exiting a property-based investment. Nowadays, such procedures are very bureaucratic and time-consuming. Tokens can be traded in a peer-to-peer market, allowing the investors to exit in a minimum span of time, making the whole market significantly more liquid and efficient. An additional advantage of a tokenized real estate market is that it can be broadened globally. In the current market, the opportunity for retail investors to access projects in other jurisdictions is often difficult due to bureaucratic obstacles and asymmetric information. Smartlands carried out an ICO in January 2018 on the Stellar blockchain network. Naturally, tokenization of properties will also be enabled via the Stellar blockchain, which has proven to be very cost-effective, with 5,000 transactions on the network costing no more than a penny. Interesting. Now, I can see some issues already, but let's go ahead and get into their page. I looked it up already here, and let's see if we can find the white paper. Investment opportunities, of course, embrace the new era of property investments. I'm on their page right now. Projects to invest, blah, blah, blah. Funding target, £1 million in equity share, 30%. Oh, you only get a 30%, you get a chunk of 30%. For, like the total, if you bought it all at $1 million, you'd only get 30% equity share. You don't even have like a possibility of having a dominant position in the I don't know about this. Well, let's see here. I'm trying to find their white paper. Retail company. I'm not leaving yet. God damn. Trying to kick me off their webpage. Smartlands, our vision. Okay. Smartlands is a blockchain-based real economy with new exciting opportunities for individual investors, SMEs, and large institutions. The platform is designed to bring together asset managers / owners and investors by creating low-risk blockchain-based securities backed by assets in real estate, agriculture, the manufacturing sector, logistics, private equity, and others. We have built risk-free infrastructure founded upon a legal framework explicitly established for security token offerings on Smartlands to maximize the safety and security of investing on the platform. The Smartlands platform is built upon the Stellar network and employs advanced blockchain technology, such as extended capabilities as fast transactions, processing at low cost, and enhancing security of all processes from issuance to storage to transfers of tokens for trading on the secondary market and others. Let's see here. I guess their token is SLT. SLT is a token used for accessing investment projects on the Smartlands platform. SLT was issued by Smartlands Platform Foundation, a Cayman Islands foundation, which is an independent entity from Smartlands Platform Ltd, so you don't even know if they have the backing. The SLT holding requirement is essential for the Smartlands platform because it guarantees all payments. The SLT holding requirement compels investors to plan their campaigns better, knowing that they can count on the SLT well-pronounced liquidity that continuously stimulates the demand for the token and protects both investors and the platform from market fluctuation. Oh god. Oh my god. In other words, using SLT for covering all operational costs is a fast, safe, and secure way of paying for things on the Smartlands platform. Oh, Jesus Christ. Mission creation of new class of low-risk tokens based on high yield and illiquid real assets. Vision: democratize access to wealth and break the barriers to high-yield, illiquid investments. Unicorn vision. Let's click on the unicorn vision here. Unicorn vision. Oh god, their unicorn vision is 17 pages. Holy shit. Let's see what it is here. Unicorn vision, the place where money grows. God. Investment instruments are outdated. Bank deposits. You lock up a bunch of cash for a year or more at a little or 0% interest. It's the least imaginative way of making your money work for you. Let's see. There are plenty of ways to spend money. There are lots of ways to earn income, but the concept of creating a passive income through investing is relatively new, and virtually all current modes of investing on the side are deeply flawed. Obviously, it needed to change, so we changed it. And we already covered bank deposits, so next is real estate. You could invest in the REITs, REITs, and MBS/CDs, but you'd also have to study up on lots of things like how to invest in real estate investment trusts individually or through an exchange-traded fund or a mutual fund, and so on. And studying is hard. Well, shit, now that I know that I'd have to do those things in order to trade REITs or MBS/CDs, it's probably a lot less hard now. Stock market. This is one of the things that they intend to change. Stock market. Those who aren't afraid to admit the truth say it out loud. Stock market is a pyramid scheme. Do you really think that by buying a $1,200 Google share you own $1,200 worth of Google? Well, Google it. You don't. And you don't need the stress of finding it out. Smartlands is one of the first global platforms for crowdfunding investments through issuance of security tokens. Smartlands is a worldwide security token issuance platform designed for the 21st century crowdfunding. Our goal is to bring together token issuers and investors by creating blockchain-based securities based by digital ownership of shares in multiple asset classes. Smartlands platform is built on the Stellar network and employs advanced blockchain technology with fast, cheap, secure transactions and extended capabilities. In May 2019, we introduced our first use case, purpose-built student accommodation complex in Nottingham, UK. First ever property tokenized in the UK. Unique opportunity for retail investors. Fully regulated by the FCA. Who the fuck is the FCA? Maybe we'll get to that. So what's next? Thank goodness this thing is like monster pages. We're already on page 7 of this thing, so continuing. We dare ourselves to answer difficult questions. How can we make Smartlands investors even happier? How can we improve and enrich their experience? And we've made a great plan. Fasten your seatbelts. 5 steps. from a platform to global investment ecosystem. Investment portfolio. On a monthly basis, we will provide our customers with a range of professionally selected high-yield investment opportunities in the most lucrative equity types and asset classes. From real estate to global low-risk fintech projects with proven business models. Real estate, agriculture, private equity. Number 2. Decentralized security token exchange is an essential part of the Smartlands ecosystem. Trading of securities creates substantial value to investors due to unlocked liquidity, price discovery, and other benefits. 3. We go mobile. Soon we are switching to mobile. Our one-click operation will enable investors to track offers and manage portfolios right from their mobile device. Manage your investments. Open account and pass accreditation. Unlike on legacy system platforms, opening an account with us only takes a few minutes, as you can do it with your phone. Built-in exchange. We enable our customers to trade in and out of any type of currency they choose to use on the platform. Sell your tokens for crypto or fiat money anytime, anywhere. Instant notification. We'll notify you instantly as soon as new details on an offering you've been exploring emerge. Be in the know and ahead of the curve. Number 4, Oh My Smartlands card. We enable our customers not only to invest and earn, but reliably hold, exchange, and spend fiat and crypto, engaging in IBAN, SEPA transfers, and lightning fast exchanges of crypto to fiat. Oh shit, they even got a Visa emblem on there. Built-in payments. This is number 5. The pain of a multi-wallet system of managing your online assets is legendary. No more. All of your assets are now in one place, and one omniscient manager handles all operations. Smart. So, one-stop wreckage. Let's see here. Number 1, opportunity. Choose professionally selected bespoke offers and turn them into diversified investment. Number 2, liquidity is a major claim to fame of security tokens. Unlock ultimate liquidity in traditional illiquid asset classes. Number 3, simplicity and convenience. Superior one-click user experience from desktop or mobile. Number 4, accessibility. All in one operation, one place for crypto and fiat. Number 5, flexibility. Why earn to spend? And more flexibility. Add more flexibility to your spending habits and enjoy your life. Consumer-centric approach. Let's see, we got this neat little thing here. It's let's see here. Manage and trade, convert and spend, access, select, invest and earn, manage and trade, convert and spend. Yeah, okay, whatever. Smartlands, Golden Cross House in Duncannon Street, London. Dude, these guys are like all over the place. The place where your money grows. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to say it. Scam. It's a fucking scam. Their only claim to have any kind of regulatory association whatsoever is the FCA. I've never even heard of the FCA. To my knowledge, they're not part of the IMF or the Euro organization or any of that other shit. So, yeah. I don't think they can deliver on half of what they're promising here. And I mean, they've got good media saturation here. You got about 20 pages worth of links. But yeah, I can understand the idea that this could be quote unquote ambitious. But as it is, Facebook is experiencing a great deal of regulatory friction just with their Libra project. Now, I can only imagine what it would be like for an as of yet undeployed organization to take on not only all of the regulators that Facebook is now coming up against, but all of the market participants that this would potentially displace. But more to the point, when you reading that white paper, that promotional information, I didn't see any specific claims of specifically who they are regulated by. The FCA. I have no idea what the FCA is. I've never heard of this token beyond its own mentioning. So it's I don't hear about anybody trading these coins on, say, Binance or Bittrex or anything like that. I'm not hearing about people renting or buying some element of equity via this platform. And usually when people do that kind of stuff, it's kind of cool, and so they'd probably want to put it out there to their friends and whatnot in crypto, say, hey, yo, check out this platform. I just sold my car via this platform. I just sold my real estate via this platform. I just bought some real estate via this platform. I'm not seeing any of that shit. I'm seeing articles about it, and most of them are actually posted on here. Let's see. One is for July 2nd, 2019. The next one is June 28th, June 25th, June 19th, June 12th, May 31st, May 21st, May 16th, May 15th. Let's see when it started. We'll go to page 20. We'll just kind of skip ahead here. Well, apparently they've been around for a little while, or at least there have been articles about them. We got a hackathon. The first mention of them is September 15th, 2017. In category, they've got a list of categories here. It's got 19 blogs, Hub Center 12, roadmaps, use cases, blah blah blah, and 13 newsletter. And news is 179. Yeah, I don't know. If they're delivering it all, I'm not seeing a lot of evidence of it. Like I said, I would imagine that a lot of the big crypto heads would have been saying something about it. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw it back down into some music, because that was kind of long. And I haven't been playing any Sixth, and we got to fix that. Let's see here. And there's one song I really, really like off of this one album. And so here it is. Bland Street Bloom by Sixth, here on Coin Metal. And that was Unsung by Helmet. Man, I remember when that album came out. It was In the Meantime. Excellent album. Excellent album. Anyway, and so apparently I've got a guy on Twitter, Mr. Rob McNeely, wants to come on the show. So we're going to entertain this, and we're going to talk to him probably on Friday, if all goes well. Anyway, back to what we're discussing on this show today. No. You sons of bitches. The crypto media sometimes just really pisses me off. Yes, sign in with fucking Facebook. Yes, you gotta know more shit about me. Great. Cool, my success. Alright. So anyway, it's funny, we're talking about associating real estate with cryptocurrencies, or tokens, rather. I've always said that you cannot do that. As a matter of fact, we seem to have a bit of trouble just associating digital stuff with digital stuff. In some cases we've seen that successful, but in others we've seen pretty tragic effect. Anyway, so I got this one on BusinessInsider.com here. The inside story of how Robinhood, a $6 billion investing app for millennials, blew a huge launch so badly that Congress got involved. This is by Nick Bastone and Dan Francisco. Yeah, Francisco. So yes, double penis. And this is authored on July 2nd, 2019 at 8 a.m. So let's get down to this thing. In late 2017, the crypto craze was on. Bitcoin was reaching record highs by the day, turning speculators into overnight millionaires. Robinhood, a 4-year-old startup with grand ambitions to upend the financial world by letting investors make trades on their smartphones, wanted in on the action. Vlad Tenev and Baiju Bhatt, Robinhood's founders and co-CEOs, called an emergency town hall-style meeting at the company's Menlo Park headquarters that December to lay out the game plan. Robinhood was going to update its app to let users buy and sell cryptocurrencies from their phones. To cash in on the fervor, the team would need to move fast. They had 6 weeks to meet the end of January deadline. That's an extremely quick turnaround for a complex product that puts real money at stake. Staffers got caught up in the thrill of the co-founders' crypto challenge, but major questions set in as the launch date approached. Would the company's back-end software, which one former executive said was, quote, held together with toothpicks and bubblegum, hold up to the pressure? Was the company pushing its customers toward risky investments without providing proper education? Would Robinhood be exposing itself to an immense risk of fraud? Quote, everyone at the company is mad at me, Bot acknowledged in one meeting, according to the former Robinhood executive. Quote, everyone was telling me not to do it, that I was pushing too hard, and that we were risking customers' money on crypto. But Bot didn't let the naysayers change his course. As engineers canceled holiday travel plans and worked frantically to meet the crypto product's deadline, motivational posters appeared in the office hallways and bathrooms. Don't sleep. The phrase would eventually be used to market the product, as in, don't sleep on crypto. But some sleep-deprived employees saw the message as a direct order from their frenzied founders. That manic, hard-charging attitude has helped fuel Robinhood's rapid growth in one of the leading Silicon Valley startups seeking to disrupt the financial industry. Robinhood describes its mission in grandiose terms. Quote, it wants to democratize our financial system by letting users manage their banking, retirement, and investment accounts with a few simple phone swipes. With a war chest filled with $539 million in investments from blue-chip venture capital firms, a valuation of $5.6 billion, and more than 6 million users, Robinhood is poised to become a major new player in an increasingly digitized financial sector. The success of its no-fee trading approach has caused long-time leaders in the space like Fidelity and TD Ameritrade to slash fees and JP Morgan to launch its own low-cost trading app. In May, reports circulated that Robinhood was raising yet another investment round that would value the company at $7 billion, with plans for an even bigger round soon thereafter that could be as high as $10 billion. And it got there, according to former employees, by rolling out new products at a breakneck pace with little regard for the safeguards and financial regulations designed to protect its customers' livelihoods. Business Insiders spoke with 10 former Robinhood employees and contractors who agreed to speak anonymously for fear of retaliation. They described a workplace in which Bott and Tenev brushed aside regulatory concerns in pursuit of flashy new products to attract users, culminating in the embarrassing debacle in December of 2018 of its new checking and savings service, which the company was forced to abandon after its false assurances that the accounts were insured sparked a congressional outcry. Like Theranos, 23andMe, and Uber before it, Robinhood sought to disrupt a highly regulated industry with the, quote, move fast and break things startup playbook, only to learn that the rules are there for a reason and that breaking them has consequences. Business Insider has learned that the company was warned that the checking and savings accounts might not meet regulatory scrutiny, but pressed ahead anyway. Robinhood responded to detailed questions from Business Insider with a statement claiming that the story would be sensationalized and filled with inaccuracies. We're disappointed by the reliance on assertions from anonymous sources as fact, the statement said, without entertaining the possibility that those sources are wrong. We take pride in our ability to move quickly and thoughtfully in building high-quality products and that expand participation in our financial system. Making stock trades as easy as Instagram posts. The buzzy startup has come a long way since its early days, when Tenev and Bott's first attempts to secure funding were rejected 75 times. The pair, insiders described Tenev as the technical expert, while Bott, nearly universally called Beju by his employees, is the visionary, became friends and roommates while undergraduates at Stanford. They moved to New York together, knowing only that they hoped to start a company, but unsure what that would look like. Tenev had dropped out of his mathematics doctoral program at UCLA to pursue the startup dream, while Bott quit the financial services job he'd held for 9 months. Their first run at a company has been only vaguely described in the years since as, quote, a trading firm. Next, the future billionaires would try building trading software for hedge funds and banks. Though details about that business, named Kronos Research, are also hazy. Amid the Occupy Wall Street movement in 2011, when more and more people were losing faith in the market, Tenev and Bott got the idea to focus on the consumer side of financial services, making stock trading on a smartphone as easy as posting a photo on Instagram. On the day that the Robinhood app was announced, in April of 2013, the 20-something CEOs found themselves taking part in a video interview defending their experience. Quote, "This is our third company in the financial space, so in startup standards, that makes us very, very experienced," Tenev said. Quote, "It makes us actually quite ancient. Being an entrepreneur," Bott went on, was, quote, "by definition something you do without knowing what you're doing." Robinhood's no-fee trading, most competitors charge at least $5 a trade, and the free share of stock it gave away with each new sign-up made it a popular app. But Bott and Tenev were always pushing to differentiate their product from competitors. So more than 4 years after their idea first hit the App Store, they seized on the idea of making crypto trading as easy as they'd made stock trading. The initiative was, as a former Robinhood contractor told Business Insider, quote, "a last-minute thing beset by chaos." Quote, "From an operational and managerial perspective," the contractor said, "it was all over the place. The former executive said the technology was not ready for the prime time. Quote, people would press process and sometimes you wouldn't even know if the transaction went through. But eventually, the February 2018 launch was viewed as a major success. The momentum and new customers acquired through crypto, which according to a recent Bloomberg report doubled its overall customer base, helped Robinhood raise a $363 million Series D round that May. After the new investment, Bot told Bloomberg that users should expect to see Robinhood moving from a, quote, full-featured investment platform to a full-featured financial services consumer finance platform. To do so, he said, Robinhood would need to develop products so superior to those of its competitors that anyone not using the app would say to themselves, quote, wow, I've made a mistake. That would take ingenuity, and in a tightly regulated industry, it would also mean pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Quote, they honestly don't give enough of a shit. With no trading fees and a relatively easy sign-up process, a good portion of Robinhood's clients are young, first-time investors lacking a deep understanding of the markets. As a result, the company is often inundated with queries from customers about sometimes simple things, such as, quote, why did I get the stock at a higher price than what I saw it at? According to a former contractor who handled customer questions. Unable to keep up with the growing number of customer queries, the company decided to shut down its call center a little over a year and a half ago, according to the contractor. Quote, we were growing so fast, after a while it was ridiculous. Instead, all customer issues were handled by email, but when it came to employee suggestions on how Robinhood could better handle customer questions, they were sent to, quote, into a black hole, the former contractor added. Sometimes the lack of customer service reached a boiling point. The startup faced at least one lawsuit in a Missouri small claims court filed by a customer who claimed to have lost $25,000 from his account for no apparent reason. Robinhood never responded to the claim, and a judge entered a default judgment against it in November of 2018. In December, Robinhood's options trading suffered an outage. Customers lashed out online over the company's response, which included offering Amazon gift cards to customers who claimed they lost money when the service went down. In the fall of 2018, Robinhood also faced scrutiny for its practice of selling its customers buy and sell orders, also known as order flow, to sophisticated high-frequency traders as opposed to directing them to exchanges to be executed. The practice is legal and not uncommon among retail brokers. E-Trade, Schwab, and DT Ameritrade all do it as well. But some argue that selling order flow can negatively influence the price at which customers' trades are executed when high-speed firms use the information to gain market insight and make an additional profit. According to the Bloomberg report, the payments Robinhood received for order flow accounted for more than 40% of total volume. Tenev eventually chose to address the topic directly in a blog post, denying that the practice affects prices and saying Robinhood sells order flow to the firm that is, quote, most likely to give you the best execution quality. Quote, I think they're so caught up in the engineering and just releasing their product and growing. They honestly don't give enough of a shit about their customers, and we always saw that as a problem, the former contractor said. It was shitty to feel like they didn't even care. Fuck it, we're doing it anyways. By December 2018, Bot found the wow moment he'd been looking for. Robinhood announced that it would launch a checking and savings product that paid 3% interest, a huge uptick from the average U.S. savings and checking account interest rates of 0.10 and 0.08, respectively. Even digital banks, which have made a name for themselves in recent years as an alternative to nominal rates offered by banks, fell shy of Robinhood's proposal, at the time topping out at 2.2 2.02% and 2.25% for checking and savings accounts, respectively. The day checking and savings launched, employees celebrated internally, some by posting links to the announcement across their social media accounts. Like crypto, it had been another all-out sprint, with engineering work starting just months earlier, according to several sources who worked on both projects. Bot had announced the vision for checking and savings to employees in August of 2018 to much fanfare. The typical Friday town hall-style meeting was scrapped for something more festive, a company-wide meeting in its Palo Alto office courtyard. Ice cream sandwiches and champagne were served. When Bot took the stage, he told employees that the company's earlier plans to launch a more passive savings account had been abandoned. Instead, Robinhood would reimagine what was possible and offer their customers a 3% interest rate. Employees near the front row pulled the strings on large poppers when the announcement was made, and rainbow-colored confetti rained down on the crowd. 3% was a magic number, one former employee told us. Bot thought it would make people say, "Wow." But in the weeks following the champagne toasts, reality set in. During one meeting, the former executive said product managers raised concerns with Bot about naming the product checking and savings. The trouble, they argued, was that the money was not in a checking account or in a savings account. It was in a brokerage account. And, unlike traditional bank accounts, brokerage accounts aren't insured by the FDIC. Pitching the product as a bank account could mislead customers. Quote, "Fuck it, we're doing it anyways," Bot said in the product meeting, according to the former executive who was in the room. The name, Bot said, would resonate with users. Robinhood's brokerage accounts were already insured by the Securities Investor Protection Corp, but covers only cash, quote, "from the sale of or for the purchase of securities." Using the account as a place to park cash for checking and savings was a far cry from using it to buy stocks. Or was it? Well, we'll revisit that later. Created after the bank failures of the Great Depression, the FDIC was meant to strengthen consumer confidence in the safety of bank deposits. As of the end of 2018, the FDIC insures 5,406 financial institutions and over $12.6 trillion in assets. Since 2017 alone, it has stepped in to make account holders whole at 9 failed banks. The SIPC is not a government agency or regulator, but it plays a similar role, insuring broker-dealer accounts in the case of the firm collapsing. It counts 3,621 members and has distributed nearly $140 billion in cash and securities for customer accounts in its 49-year history. Robinhood would market checking and savings as insured by the SIPC up to $250,000. But, according to the former executive and a former employee who worked with Robinhood's legal team, Bot explicitly decided not to contact the SIPC before the checking and savings announcement to confirm that the product would be covered. He thought, they said, that the issues would work themselves out over time and ultimately resolve in his company's favor. When the product managers questioned how Robinhood could say the product was SIPC insured when they hadn't spoken to anyone there, Bot's response was, quote, "We're going to be fine," according to the former executive. The former employee who worked with the legal team said that they heard Bot speaking to lawyers on several occasions. When he was questioned about how the accounts would be insured, the co-chief executive responded, quote, "Well, we aren't worried." But the legal team was. Quote, "Our team of lawyers was very nervous about it," the former employee told us. They were concerned about the amount of time they were given to evaluate it, and also that no one had done what we were doing before. While the lawyers never outright advised against the plan, the former employees said they repeatedly called it, quote, risky. At one point, the lawyers said they would be more comfortable if they reached out first to the SIPC, according to the former employee. But ultimately, Robinhood's mentality of doing things quickly and apparently semi-secretly won out. The attitude was, quote, do it and beg forgiveness rather than permission, the former employees said. Robinhood had a lot of top-down directives from Vlad and Baju. They were both confident that if there was a chance, they should try it, basically. Quote, the more successful everything has been, the more confident the leadership has become in their own decision-making, another former employee said. There are lots of antiquated rules in the brokerage space. You may be going by the word of law, perhaps not quite the spirit of the law, but it's to build a better product. This has been so successful at Robinhood for so long, they wanted to push on this and further. They wanted to push on this further and further. Delete everything you posted. Within a day of the launch, articles began to surface calling into question how the new accounts would be insured. Stephen Harbeck, the president and CEO of SIPC at the time, told several media outlets that Robinhood had not contacted the SIPC beforehand about the product and said unequivocally that Robinhood's claims that the accounts were SIPC insured were false. The money in the accounts wasn't covered. Hundreds of thousands of users, many of them young, unsophisticated investors, had rushed to sign up for a new account based in part on the understanding that if Robinhood went belly up, their money would be protected. It wouldn't be. Quote, money that is doing nothing but earning interest looks like a loan, Harbeck told Axios. Quote, we do not protect loans to a broker-dealer. Harbeck, who has since left the SIPC, confirmed to Business Insider that Robinhood never reached out before the launch and that he referred the matter to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Many Robinhood staffers had promoted the new product on their social media feeds and defended it to friends and peers as criticism emerged. But within hours, one source said company-wide email instructed staffers to, quote, delete everything you posted about checking and savings. Within a day of its announcement, checking and savings was all but dead. The blog post on Robinhood's site announcing the news was deleted. Instead, Bot and Tenev published a new post announcing the team was going back to the drawing board. Quote, we plan to work closely with regulators as we prepare to launch our cash management program, and we're revamping our marketing materials, including the name, the post read. A week later, a joint letter from several U.S. senators condemning Robinhood for its actions was sent to the SEC Chairman Jay Clayton, FDIC Chairman Jelena McWilliams, and SIPC's Harbeck. Quote, we are concerned that rebranding Robinhood's original announcement to cash management may simply be a way to circumvent regulatory scrutiny without offering full transparency to its customers, the bipartisan letter, which was organized by Republican Senator John Kennedy, read. In a statement to Business Insider, Robinhood acknowledged that, quote, mistakes in our checking and savings announcement. That's why we moved swiftly to respond to concerns and took down related materials before any product launch. Since then, we've been working on a new cash management feature. Admitting defeat. At the company all-hands meeting that week, Bot told employees that the company probably should have handled the launch differently, but, quote, we were exploring uncharted territory, according to the former employee who worked with the legal team. No, dude, you just jumped without bothering to care, which I kind of admire. To be clear, Robinhood wasn't the first fintech looking to expand its offering to obtain more market share in its client wallets. At the time, Acorns had already announced a new debit card for clients. Betterment had recently released a tool that would allow customers to move money between traditional checking accounts and a low-risk investment product that could serve as an alternative to a savings account. Off the stage, at least one manager, according to two sources, was spreading information about lawmakers conspiring against Robinhood, a message that became widespread internally. The suggestion was that big banks had leaned on politicians to push the SIPC to look at checking and savings following the announcement. According to other sources familiar with the matter, it was an abundance of inbound inquiries about checking and savings immediately following the announcement that prompted Harbeck to make a call to the SEC, which has regulatory oversight over Robinhood. Where does Robinhood go from here? 6 months later, Robinhood's pursuit of customers' deposits remains very much in the air. Checking and savings was rebranded Cash Management. The product has yet to launch, and users can no longer sign up for the waitlist. Details on how it will function or be insured have yet to be released. In the meantime, checking and savings accounts have become table stakes among startups in personal wealth management. Wealthfront, Acorns, and Sophie are among a number of fintechs that have announced some type of cash management offering with higher interest rates than traditional banks. The motivation is simple. As fintechs fought to survive in the crowded space, handling more of their clients' money is key to their growth. The SEC and FINRA, which have regulatory oversight over Robinhood, have not formally charged the startup. Several sources contacted by Business Insider have speculated that Robinhood has placed the cash management feature in a holding pattern on the suggestion of the regulators as they investigate how the process was handled. Representatives for the SEC and FINRA declined to comment. Robinhood has made changes of its own internally. In April, the startup announced a string of new hires and promotions in the compliance side. Most notably, Scott Friedman, who had served as Robinhood's president and chief compliance officer since the company's inception, transitioned to an advisory role as vice president of compliance affairs. John Castelli, who most recently served as chief compliance officer of Personal Capital, was named the new chief compliance officer. Robinhood isn't the only one playing the waiting game. A lawyer with a competitive fintech said the industry is closely watching the situation to see what type of punishment, if any, Robinhood will receive. Quote, "It's going to come down to what consequences the regulators impose for this," the lawyer said. The lesson could be it's easier to say you're sorry and ask for forgiveness if all that happens is they get a slap on the wrist or a fine that is seen as the cost of doing business. According to the joint letter from the U.S. Senators, over 850,000 users had signed up for the checking and savings within the first week of its announcement. With customer acquisition costs so high for those in the wealth management space, a minor penalty could be viewed as a worthwhile fee for the ability to cut regulatory corners. While all eyes remain on the fate of Robinhood's cash management service, the startup hasn't remained completely stagnant. In April, Robinhood applied for a national bank charter from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, as reported by the San Francisco Business Times. If approved, Robinhood would be the first fintech to receive such a charter. In its overview of its application to the OCC, Robinhood cited its foundational principles as being simple, honest, smart, safe, and rewarding, adding that a banking charter would allow it to, quote, offer banking services in a safe and sound manner to U.S. retail consumers. So apparently they ran forward, tried to break stuff and ended up bouncing off a wall, or two, or three, or four, probably several. And they will probably see some more challenges, and not just from FINRA and the FDIC and the SEC and the CFTC. Being a trusted third party, there's a reason why Bitcoin was designed not to need licensed third parties, not to need trusted arbiters to conduct the transactions on the network. And it's exemplified by this. The big concern is that for whatever reason, they pissed all the money away on Coke and Hose or Boats and Hose or whatever, or they bought a small island in Greece or something like that. Whatever it is, there's a trust quotient, man. You got to trust that they didn't do that to your money, right? You need fucking regulatory oversight to guarantee that they haven't done that with your money, or that in the event that they have done that, that your money is covered by the FDIC or the SIPC or so on and so forth. So, I can't feel sorry for them, honestly. I really can't. They step in the face, directly in the face, and not just kind of, directly in the face of traditional regulated markets, and they expected that they were just going to get away with it, without anybody saying anything. Well, there are a lot of big, powerful people out there. They got a shit ton of money, and they are more than happy to spend some of it to crush a potential competitor. And they might have this big-ass war chest now, but there are much bigger fish out there that want a stake of what they're doing. Because what they're doing is threatening their stake in digital finance and banking and savings, apparently. But additionally, I would see this as an issue in that there's a reason why antitrust legislation exists. There's a reason why Glass-Steagall was passed. And it was because organizations were taking their customers' funds and gambling with them in other markets. So the savings and loans collapse. That's why, because they were taking people's savings and using it as collateral on the Dow and other markets. And you just can't do that. And I know that a lot of people look at cryptocurrencies and they say, oh, well, we could just represent the same volume in tokens, and then we can trade the tokens, and everything is going to be cool. Well, markets fluctuate. And you might do good one day, but you could fall on your face the next. And it could just coincide with a lot of other people selling out before they completely lost their ass, and then you're double fucked. Because not only are you losing it on the face value, you're also losing it on the collateral side too. Because people will be liquidating their portion of it. But yeah, it's a terrible place to try and put yourself in being the arbiter that's doing the exchanges, especially if you're doing any of the stuff like you're having to collateralize it on yourself and taking some risk on that end. But it's even worse if you're taking risk with other people's money. Because now if you fuck up with their money, you're doubly on the hook. And on top of that, you will probably violate a lot of fucking laws in the process of doing it. So yeah, not a good position to put yourself in. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And I've been dying for some fucking Gizmochi, man. Fucking Gizmochi. Love their shit. So here it is. The Answer. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Machine Head with Death Church. Yeah, so, we were talking about, what's this organization, Robinhood, and all of the regulatory hurdles that they're seeking to leap. I got to tell you, their approach towards regulatory compliance and whatnot, it's not, going forward and then asking for forgiveness later on. It's more akin to slow dancing with like golf shoes on, or cleats, football cleats. That's the kind of disruption they're doing in finance, or at least proposing to do. Whether or not they actually fulfill on it, that's a whole different story. And, honestly, I feel like even bothering with anything other than cryptocurrencies, I think it's a stupid fucking move. It's just stupid. If you want to avoid all of that regulatory cruft, stick within crypto. Don't even interface with fiat. Don't try to interface with fiat. Don't even fucking bother. Start looking at your customer base as the planet and using your service to facilitate exchange between individuals on it. Now, of course, you being a centralized source, that could be targeted and whatnot, that's one thing. But again, if you want to take away 90% of their attack surfaces that they have to come at you from, stick with crypto only. Just shit can all of your fiat products. Don't even bother with them. I mean, unless you just have to, and then go for the bare minimum. Straight up major cryptocurrency exchanges of U.S. dollars or other fiat currencies against them. That's about as far as I would go. I wouldn't bother with this, savings and loans. Oh, fuck you. You're just asking for regulators. You're just asking for legacy players to rain down shit on you. And just to get a little proof here, it doesn't even matter how big you are. Robinhood and your piddly ass $6 billion valuation. How about Facebook? They got their Libra project, and I got this article here on BitcoinExchangeGuide.com. And I'm going to have to watch it because a lot of times I think this is one of those sites that just aggregates other people's shit. And it's by Gabriel Machado, authored July 2nd, 2019. Facebook's Libra movement receives backlash in Washington about cryptocurrency project. So yeah, doesn't matter how big you are. So no penis. Facebook's Libra plan has once more been criticized. This time, notice they didn't say stopped, criticized. This time, however, the complaints do not come from the crypto community, which is fairly negative on the whole project, but from the government of the United States. A letter signed by over 30 influential groups in Washington was recently sent to Facebook. The letter demanded the project to be halted immediately as there were profound questions about the project, as reported by Bloomberg. The letter was signed by 5 congressional committee leaders, and the main point was that the regulators were simply not prepared to deal with something like the Libra project right now. Too fucking bad. In their view, the project of the social network company would still need to address some questions and concerns before the project could be allowed to move forward and be really launched in the United States. Maxine Waters, the House Financial Services Committee chairwoman, affirmed that she believed that Facebook's Libra posed a risk that was simply too big to be allowed to go forward with so many questions without a proper answer. Facebook did not publicly respond to the letter until the time of this report. Facebook's Libra will have a hard time being regulated. If cryptocurrencies posed a huge problem for regulators who were uncertain of how to deal with them, the truth is that Libra is possibly even more troublesome, mostly because Facebook is huge. The reach of a project such as this one is unseen in history, and we all know that Libra has the potential to reach even more people than Bitcoin did. That's not true at all. When that happens, how will the world react? Facebook has announced the Libra Association, which has companies such as MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, and Uber in its ranks. But most people are still afraid that the new token could be way too centralized. Governments such as India have already indicated that maybe Facebook's Libra will not be welcome there, while other governments, such as the Russian, will treat it just like any other crypto. The United States will possibly provide a good thermometer for how difficult it will be for Facebook to get approval, and so far, it does not really seem that it will be very easy. Libra is still far from it's launch, but the team behind the new cryptocurrency already has a lot of problems to solve. Yeah, it's one of those things where they just take a big bite of some shit. You know, they didn't bother to consider whether or not they could actually digest it, whether it was actually good for them, whether it would be beneficial for them later on. No, it just looked like some shit to bite on, and so they bit on it. I think Facebook is going to face a lot of challenges, and none of which have anything to do with its fucking regulatory temperament, or whether it's regulatable, or how it's regulated, or any of that other bullshit. They're going to have significant technical challenges. And I know that a lot of these organizations, I think they get kind of ahead of themselves. You know, like I said, the worries about, you know, whether or not they're going to challenge the U.S. government or some shit. Of course they are. That's what all of this stuff does. The Facebook itself challenges the U.S. government, and not by anything that it itself does. It's just a transaction medium, and now they want to get into financial transactions too. You know, the trouble is that there are other mediums that will be even more frictionless than Facebook. And I think that the bigger issue that Facebook Coin really faces is that, you know, the awesome position that they're trying to place themselves in. You know, I have so much trouble with this because, you know, as is, they get hacked to fuck. Okay, and so, you know, I don't care that Libra is going to be separated in some way, shape, or form. There is going to be some association between your Facebook identity and your Libra account. It's inevitable. It's you know, peanut butter and jam. You know, it's going to go together. You know, peanut butter and chocolate, same thing. It's going to go together. But now, you know, it would make sense in a completely unregulated world, in a completely open and honest world, and no adversarial actors, and everybody was making enough money that they did not have to steal it from anyone else. You know, in that world, Libra might be able to work in direct association with your Facebook account. But there again, you will have to cut off all association with your physical location. So any association between GPS data and your transaction data and your Facebook data, all that shit has to be scrubbed and eliminated. And of course, there are other challenges there that, you know, adversarial actors would suddenly place a premium on them and whatever data that they were able to glean from Facebook users who are using Libra. Again, I think that the type of system that Facebook is and the cryptocurrencies they describe it, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think for one thing, it's not made clear whether or not they're actually going to be dependent on their users' hardware or not. And I think it's pretty fucking likely that they're going to have some fucking shadow miner in their you know, phone apps and their tablet apps and in their desktop apps or whatever that are going to be sucking some of your resources and mining something else with it. Either that or mining their Libra currency. And that could be a path for evacuating out of the space. Now, this is the only reason that I'm not just like, you know, it's a fucking scam coin. It's gonna because they left a lot of fucking windows open in their white paper. And their white paper, while it was put together kind of shoddily and copy and pasta, that kind of thing, overall, it was kind of legal genius. They make some inferences about what they're doing, and they're making some inferences about how it's going to operate, but they leave open things like they say it's going to be open source and it's going to be decentralized, and they're envisioning that they're going to be phasing themselves out as a governing body. Okay, so to me that suggests that they leave open the possibility that you would be mining it whether you know it or not to begin with, as default of being a user. You know, you have a wallet on your fucking phone or whatever, and so you're literally they're shadow mining on your app in the background. Now, later on, they would make you aware of this, or maybe even up front. You know, they do have a significant window of time in which to develop their narrative and their directive. You know, how exactly they intend to phase themselves out. And I think the separation from Facebook proper is kind of wise in that way, because it takes away the decision-making processes that they've already got in the Facebook organization, and that doesn't have any oversight or directives over Libra, supposedly. Although I'm sure that some Facebook individuals are going to either try to directly interface with it, or they are going to be buying it, or something to that effect, that they will be given some sort of dispensation or acquire one of their own. So anyway, I got this thing here, and it's about 6 pages, and it's all these people: Chuck Grassley, Maxine Waters, Mike Crapo, Frank Pallone, and ranking member Greg Walden, U.S. committee, and there's all these committees. All right, and U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, U.S. Federal Trade Commission, Office of United States Trade Representative, U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission, Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, Financial Stability Oversight Council, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, Calibra, care of Facebook, Inc. July 2nd, 2019. Dear this apparently is Facebook's response, I guess, to their demands or whatever. Anyway, July 2nd, 2019. Dear legislators, regulators, and Facebook and Calibra employees, the Facebook proposal... Oh, no. This actually is from... Okay, no. This is from the government to Facebook. The Facebook proposal to create a new cryptocurrency as part of its broader Libra project raises profound questions about national sovereignty, corporate power, consumer protection, competition policy, monetary policy, privacy, and more. The U.S. regulatory system is not prepared to address these questions, nor are the regulatory systems of other nations or international institutions. We call on Congress and regulators to impose a moratorium on Facebook's Libra and related plans until the profound questions raised by this proposal are addressed. We also urge Facebook to put its implementation of its plans for the new cryptocurrency Libra on hold until the Congress and regulators have an opportunity to assess and react to a far more detailed presentation than has been made public, or has yet been made public. Some of us believe a careful assessment will show that the proposal is too dangerous to be permitted to proceed. Others of us believe it should be permitted if appropriate controls and rules are in place. Others of us are uncertain what we think in light of the long list of unanswered questions about Libra. All of us believe the risks posed by Facebook's proposal are too great to allow the plan to proceed with so many unanswered questions. Leaving aside important technical and technological questions about the new plan, some of which Facebook itself has highlighted, we see a very long list of questions that require answers before Facebook moves forward. We identify a small subset of them here, grouped in the following categories. Number 1, governance. Number 2, national sovereignty. Number 3, law enforcement, including tax policy. Number 4, consumer protection. Number 5, privacy. Number 6, competition and systemic risk. 1. Governance. What transparency standards will apply to the new association that Facebook proposes should govern Libra? Number 2. In what ways will the public be able to affect decision-making related to Libra? Number 3. How will the Libra Association relate to national governments and intergovernmental organizations? Will it consider the impact of its decision on particular national interests? Should it? No. For example, a decision to adjust the basket of reference currencies should have a major effect on the real value of actual currencies, or could have a major effect. Not really. 4. What protections will be in place to prevent collusive behavior among Libra Association members? I'll like you give a shit about that. National sovereignty. Number 1. What impact might Libra have on monetary policy in smaller and developing countries? Give me a break. Number 2. Facebook says that the Libra Association will act as a currency board rather than central bank, i.e., it will create new Libra only in proportion to which investors and users buy in with real money. But what is to stop the Libra Association from changing that policy in the future? How would that affect national monetary policy? Probably not at all. 3. The International Monetary Fund, among other international authorities and experts, now recognizes the value of currency and capital controls, at least in situations of economic instability. Could nations, especially smaller economies, successfully maintain capital controls if Libra develops at scale? Absolutely. And is number 4. What are the distributional and monetary control consequences of Libra's planned pegging of its value to a basket of currencies? As currencies fluctuate, then it seems it will become relatively cheaper for some countries and relatively more expensive for others. Within a country, using the Libra could become relatively more or less expensive compared to using the national currency. How will that impact domestic inequality, and what are its implications for national government control of the money supply? Dude, that's gone. Law enforcement, including tax policy. That's what you really care about. Number 1. Wouldn't Libra provide an easy mechanism for money laundering, i.e. untaxed commerce? Number 2. Would the Libra Association apply the anti-money laundering rules imposed by many nations? Would its technology even permit, quote, know your customer type standards? Will all wallet providers be required to adhere to such rules? Should a private association be in the business of applying such standards? Number 2. Wouldn't Libra similarly facilitate tax evasion and tax fraud? God, I hope so. What protections could be in place to avoid the near certain use of Libra for this purpose? Will all wallet providers be required to adhere to such rules? Probably not. 4. Won't Libra be a tool to evade economic sanctions? Absolutely. Conversely, is it appropriate for an international private association to be a tool to enforce nationally imposed sanctions on sovereign nations? Absolutely not. Consumer protection. Number 1. How will national consumer protection laws apply to, be enforced against, and prevent misconduct by global sellers and lenders on matters relating to required disclosures, civil remedies, usury rules, access to credit, unfair and deceptive practices, and more? Number 2. The plan for Libra makes explicit and implicit promises to consumers, such as the claim that value will remain stable. But what is to stop the Libra Association from changing its policy in order to, for example, degrade the value of Libra, or to impose a micro tax on every Libra transaction? Number 3. Will Facebook and other Libra validator nodes be able to accumulate data in order to price and product discriminate against consumers? Might Libra worsen the problem of algorithmic discrimination? What the fuck is algorithmic discrimination? I mean, is that when you take all of my data and you determine by my data that I'm a fucking criminal or I'm a terrorist or some other bullshit? Because, you know, if anybody is guilty of that, I would assume it'd be governments. Anyway, continuing on. Number 4. How will consumers be protected if their Libra goes missing? What are the risks of creating a new currency with no system of deposit insurance? You're kidding, right? That's an actual concern for you people. Number 4. Why should the Libra Association be able to earn interest on real currency underlying Libra while consumers earn nothing? What are the risks if the association decides to change the investment strategy and invest the reserves in riskier assets? Privacy. Number 1. What guarantees will there be that Facebook does not use Calibra to obtain access to the transactions across the Libra network? What protections does incorporation of a subsidiary offer? What is to prevent Facebook from unilaterally altering promises about a firewall between Calibra and Facebook? Number 2. Even if a firewall is maintained, Facebook would presumably know about the transactions conducted through Facebook apps. What are the privacy implications? How might Facebook use that information for targeting advertisements? What protections will exist to prevent the data from being used for discriminatory purposes? Number 3. Similarly, even if the firewall is maintained and Calibra does not share personal information with other corporations, what the fuck? You got the fat F on one side saying that you want all of these fucking investment corporations and all cryptocurrency exchanges to be exchanging information with one another, and here you are asking them not to. Facebook not to. What the fuck? Well, let's cover that one again. Similarly, if the firewall is maintained and Calibra does not share personal data with other corporations, might it sell services that exploit that personal data in inappropriate ways, ergo doing targeting on behalf of third-party clients? You mean like governments? 4. Given Facebook's record and stated views on privacy, why should anyone believe that claims and commitments about privacy made now will be maintained? Absolutely none, but that's for them to make up. Their mind to make up. Competition and systemic risk. Oh, we might have time to finish this thing. I didn't notice what time it was. Anyway, we're almost done. Competition and systemic risk. Will Facebook be able to use Libra and Calibra to pull consumers into a closed Facebook ecosystem that will disadvantage competitors and consumers? No. Number 2. What protections will prevent the Libra Association from disfavoring competitors, including by excluding them, offering discounts to Libra partners punishing competitors, and using alternative private currencies. There are none. Number 3, the United States continues to separate banking and commerce for good reason. Banks may have unfair advantage in the consumer sector. Conversely, they may be overly aggressive in commercial investments, putting bank deposits at risk. Does the Calibra Facebook arrangement run afoul of Bank Holding Company Act requirements for separation of banking and commerce? Does it run afoul of the spirit and wisdom of those requirements? And I guess number 4, what systemic risk threats might a scaled-up Libra pose to the U.S. and global economies? What are the particular consequences of such risk without the backup of depository insurance? Does the externalization of those risks create an unfair competitive advantage for Libra? Okay, I'm going to stop it right there only because I need to talk about this for just a moment. Well, it's almost done. Hold on. Number 5, what happens if there is a run on Libra? What if the Libra Association decides in the future to alter its reserve policy or does not adhere to what it promises? These are just a sampling of these serious questions posed by Facebook's proposal. It is not even clear which regulators would or should have jurisdiction over the new enterprise, nor how they should work individually and in coordination to analyze the Facebook proposal. We have too much recent experience with insufficiently regulated financial markets spinning out of control to let this happen again. The Facebook proposal must be put on hold until these numerous fundamental questions are resolved. Sincerely, a whole bunch of fucking people that don't know jack shit. Okay. Wow. Oh, man, that's interesting. Mark Zuckerberg's address here is One Hacker Way, Menlo Park, California. That's really funny. Anyway, yeah. Let's get into it for just a moment here. Basically, what's happening with regard to currency is this. It's just like what happened with Blockbuster and a whole bunch of other companies that became obsolete. You know, it's like we don't. There's like one Blockbuster open on the planet. I think there might be more, maybe just one in the United States, but it's because our means of consuming data has changed. We're not necessarily running all the way over to fucking Blockbuster to buy CDs or rent CDs or DVDs or whatever. We're not doing that anymore. You know, we've got live streaming services and stuff that we can't stream. We can probably find on YouTube or some other medium that somebody has uploaded to the internet. So a lot of the friction point that you had and a lot of the advantages you had or market tools that you had with the Blockbuster model died with Blockbuster. Well, the same thing is happening to money. All of the concerns here about governance and issuance and all, these are not yours to wonder about anymore, government. They are to be defined by the issuers of currency. And now your only job is to try and be better. If you cannot provide a better product for us to invest our time and our effort into, we are going to use shit like the Libra or Bitcoin or Litecoin or any number of other cryptocurrencies, Verge, you know, these options are open to us now. And so you lost our eye space with torrents and all kinds of streaming services and shit, and so now you're losing wallet access on us. And it will be up to you to modify your behavior beyond that of fucking Blockbuster. And all of the regulatory bluster and finger pointing and regulating and all, that's not going to stop this shit. The system that exists, the fiat systems that exist right now, the public at large is getting tired of the manipulative triggers that they have over our lives, the way that they devalue our individual products that we put out and sell to one another. And because it's disadvantaged us, we've gotten to the point where we've developed our own, just to get out from under what you're doing. And that's not our fault. That is yours. You abused the shit out of the market, and the market has responded. The best you can do right now is try to focus on your own coin and providing better policy than the ones available, because that is what you're doing right now. You are in competition with thousands of cryptocurrencies all over planet Earth. Libra hasn't even launched yet, and you're worried about them? Fuck. Bitcoin's been eating that fucking central bank lunch all over planet Earth for the last 10 years, and it's going to continue to do so. That segment of this game is over. Okay, the ball is loose, and it is not anybody else's or any individual parties to hold on to anymore. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Friday, and possibly with a Mr. Robert McNeely. He hit me up on Twitter and said we might be doing a little bit of rapping here.